Welcome back, everybody. All right, so in this tutorial series, I'm going to talk a little bit about a for statement. And what a for statement is essentially a loop, and you can run a for statement 1, 2, or 10 times. And so what it does is it essentially loops a bit of code. Now, when it comes to loops, loops are actually really important in programming. And you tend to use for statements whenever you need to do an action more than once. You know, for example, if you need to do something more than once, like print multiple things to the screen, etc. Another thing is that loops are really important in games because the whole thing is under a game loop. In any event, let's go ahead and make up a for statement. So let's go ahead and in order to do this here, we're going to do for, and it's kind of like an if statement where we have two brackets like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and put for, and we need to have int I, and we need to initialize that as 0. Technically, you don't need to initialize it, but for this purpose, I am going to initialize it. Okay, and then you need to put a semicolon there, and then after that, we're going to go I is less than, let's say 5. Okay, we can make this any number here, and this number here is going to be how many times the loop is going to run. So if this was 2, the loop is going to run 2 times. If this is 6, it's going to run 6, but let's just do 5 for now. We'll go ahead and put a semicolon there, and what we can also do is the last thing is I++, and this is going to add 1 to it's going to add 1 to I. It's kind of like doing I equals I plus 1. That's kind of what it's doing. So we're just going to go ahead and we'll just put in I plus plus like that. Okay, close this off. And of course it needs curly brackets. And the reason why it needs curly brackets is kind of like an if statement. It's a little chunk of code. And of course, this here is what the for statement is going to be. Anything outside of that is not going to be the for statement. All right. So what we need to do is let's just, for the most part, if we go ahead and do this, see out I, let's just take a quick look at what it is. It says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that makes perfect sense. I'm going to talk a little bit about this in a second here, but what we can also do is you can add in a string. So for example, this is, and then I could put a space here. We're going to run it. And then, of course, what we need to do is we need to add in those two like that, all right? So he says this is, and what we should also do is after this, if you go ahead and we want to return it, you can just go ahead and push the /n, all right? Go run that. And that puts it on different lines. Now, let me talk a little bit about how a computer works when it comes to any kind of indexing, meaning that you know, when you have like a list of something, the first item in, for the most part, any index is going to be 0 and not 1. And it's just the way it is with computers. So let's say you have a list of 5 items. It's going to do exactly what you see here. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? It's not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't start at 1. It starts technically at 0. If you do want to start it at 1 here, you do have to add 1 to some, either if you add 1 to here, so for example, if we add 1, so if we initialize this here, you can just see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So in what you have to do is you have to add 1 somewhere. Either you have to take away 1 from the first I, like this, so making it 0, or you have to add 1 to this I and make it 1 above, right? Because it starts off as 1 and goes 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, so that's essentially what a for statement does. You can play around with this as much as you want. You can play around with these variables, and that's pretty much what a for statement does. I'll see you guys next time.